Hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here. I apologize that I haven't made a proper YouTube video in the past couple weeks, and before I get started with the videos I wanted to make for 2023, I thought I'd talk about where I've been lately. So without further ado, let's get into this. Alright, so let's get this started. So where have I been? Well, honestly, at the end of 2022, I was feeling really exhausted and burnt out. Even though I'm really glad I made some personal accomplishments that year, it was also a year of really massive change for me, and I was in just an insurmountable amount of doubt, wondering if things were going to work out. And for the most part, it did, but just that whole anxiety was enough to really just get me exhausted by the end of the year. By the time December rolled around, I wasn't even in the mood to listen to holiday music. I mean, usually around the holiday season, I'm really eager to go into Apple Music and look up my holiday playlist. But this year, I didn't even do that out of habit. I was just done with the year, if I'm being really honest. And so I spent the last couple weeks finding motivating things to try to encourage myself to get back to making videos. And I found quite a few things. The first one I wanted to talk about is my toy car collection. I think if you see me do live streams, I talk a bit about how I'm really into cars. And I'm really thankful that my mom, she spent quite a bit of time digging up my toy car collection from when I was a little kid. I collected cars from between the ages of, I want to say, 4 to maybe 8 years old. And I was just really blown away by how big the collection is. I honestly forgot just how many cars I asked my parents to get over the years. So as you can see here, there are toy cars of German cars in the collection. Here's my American car collection, and I've even got several toy Japanese cars as well. So it was a lot of fun getting to go back and see just how many cars my parents helped me collect over the years. And I'm really impressed that younger me, I think I mean, back then I didn't really have any criteria for what toy cars I wanted. I just thought, oh, it looks cool, I'd like to have it, and that's all. But I'm really impressed by the toy cars younger me asks to get. Like, for instance, I've got this Mercedes CL here with a V12, a 12-cylinder engine that I don't know if you could see, but I'm just really blown away that I have a toy of this. This is really, like, top stuff. And another one that I'm also very surprised that I have a toy of is this a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, which isn't even a car that Toyota sells in the US as a Toyota. In the US, they sell it as a Lexus, the Lexus GX off-road SUV. So I'm really amazed that I have the Toyota version of this. So really happy with this, really thankful for my mom for putting in that time and energy to, go and find these toy cars I have. So it was, just a lot of fun. And it really reminded me from a young age just how much I really enjoy cars. And now, my interest in cars has just kind of sparked once again, especially after I started to learn to drive. And learning to drive all by myself was really one of my biggest accomplishments of 2022. And I'm really grateful for that. And the other thing that I've been doing is I've been going back and watching some of my favorite tech videos and also coming across new ones. Even though I don't really talk about computers and smartphones anymore on this channel, I'm still a really avid fan of the tech industry. And so I went back and watched some of my favorite Apple and Microsoft commercials from the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. And it's been great fun. As much as I do really enjoy Apple commercials, especially from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, I really feel like when Microsoft really puts their mind into advertising, they can make ads that are just as compelling as Apple's. Especially, I think they were in their advertising prime in the 90s. If you go look up commercials for Windows 95 or Internet Explorer, yes, even Internet Explorer, they're just a blast. They really get you from going to think, oh, okay, here's a commercial, to I gotta try this right now. So it's been a blast. I really enjoyed watching all of that. But I didn't just stop with watching commercials from the tech giants. I also watched some interviews and discussions with the current and former leaders of Apple and Microsoft, particularly Steve Ballmer and Tim Cook. Now, you're not going to see videos from me where I act, as energetic and over the top as Ballmer. Like, there's just no way. I can't see myself, like, screaming for joy as much as Ballmer, or going like developers. Just no way. I would probably drive both people on YouTube and also, people on my personal life crazy if I started to make videos like that. But I think one of the things that I could learn from Ballmer is learning to, pitch the incredible talents you have. In fact, one of my favorite Ballmer moments, let's just call it that, has been, I came across this interview he did on CBS Mornings, and I'll link it down below in the description so you can watch it. And they showed a clip of him in the 90s pitching Microsoft software, where he's saying, where do you want to go today? Because Microsoft software can really help you get there. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to that effect. And I'm just thinking, that's what I'm missing. I don't have that sort of confidence. I don't need the jumping around on and screaming developers, but that kind of confidence and that kind of assurance, telling people, hey, what we can do will work out great for you, and you got to try it out. That's something I really think that, I could learn from watching, those interviews of Steve Ballmer. And I've also been watching my share of, videos of former and current Apple leaders. One of the most surprising ones I came across, I never expected this discussion would ever happen, was there was this discussion from Code where they invited the current Apple CEO Tim Cook, the former Chief Design Officer Sir Johnny Ive, and the most surprising to me was Lorraine Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' widow. So I was just amazed. I thought that she didn't want to talk about him in public, in like interviews anymore. So yeah, I was just, really amazed that interview happened. I had a really good time with it. And I think the lesson I took away from that is you shouldn't feel guilty for not wanting to do what everybody else is doing in your community. Because I will say there are a lot of times, even though I'm really, really grateful there's lots of people out there that like how I try to take a more wholesome, easygoing approach to discussing cartoons and video games, I'll be honest, there are times where I do feel like I do get like indirect pressure, watching other videos, thinking that, maybe somebody out there isn't happy that, I'm not, not as vocal, I'm not as aggressive. But honestly, the reason I don't want to be an aggressive commentator on animation video games is because I don't think it creates as wide an audience, honestly. Like, honestly, the greatest joy I get out of doing videos from this, it's not from having a heated discussion about Nintendo, and it's not from saying, oh my god, I'm glad they put this intense scene in like Owl House or Infinity Train. The greatest joy for me, honestly, is when I can find, somebody from outside the animation and video game community who would give me those 5 minutes for me to introduce myself and not only talk about how interested I am in animation and video games, but also maybe even a little bit about my life and my personality. And that's really one of the greatest joys that I get from doing these videos. I'm even just happy that for some people, they're glad that they're getting to see a more talkative side to me. I remember this was like probably a couple years ago. My aunt from Chicago came down to California to visit my family, and she said she watches my videos you know who you are, hello there. Shout out if you're watching this video. It was really great to see you. But I think my favorite moment from the conversation we had was when she basically said, "That's good. I'm glad that you're becoming more talkative." And that's when I realized that, there are lots of people who do want to see me be more talkative. And when I can realize things like that, it makes me feel like I'm a better person. It makes me realize that, hey, this is reaching out to some people. There are people out there, who want to, help me and get to know me a lot better. But I'm really glad when I can have those discussions where I find out that, hey, actually people do want to talk to me. So I'm really grateful for that. Through all this, through all the arranging of my car collection and watching the videos from the former and current leaders of Apple and Microsoft, I came away with the conclusion that I think one of my greatest fears, I admittedly have a lot of anxieties, but I think one of the most vocal I have is worrying that I'm gonna end up being like a person I really don't want to be, or that I'm just someone else's puppet. And it's honestly something that, really plagues me a lot. But after taking a break from YouTube, I realized that I'm in much more control of my life than I really, am consciously aware of than I realize, because I can allow myself to take breaks. Like, instead of, if I'm not in the mood to watch, Owl House or Star vs. the Forces of Evil, I can go back to my toy car collection and see what amazing toy cars that I collected from a kid, and I can start learning about the amazing specs, because for me nowadays it's not just oh, look at the cool car. I also like learning about things like what engine does it have, is it a rear wheel drive car, is it all wheel drive, and how does it work, and all those really technical stuff. That's why I really like learning about toy cars nowadays, and that I can allow myself to take that wholesome approach when it comes to animation and video games, because it's what helps me become social, and it helps me reach out to people. I do really love getting to talk with other fans of shows like Owl House, and also fans of Nintendo, and all of that's really fun. That's why I still do these videos and create Twitter posts. But I think for me, my most glorious moments also come from when I can have those kind of discussions with somebody who is new to animation or video games, or even just somebody who is is discovering that I can be social if I allow myself to be that way. So this break has been really, I think it's been really beneficial for me. And I know lots of you guys out there watching my videos, tell me a lot that, I really like how friendly you are in your videos and you're so wholesome. I still, not to brag, but I still remember to this day when I started to get thousands of followers on TikTok, I started to get comments from people saying, where has this guy been? I've never seen, I'm glad that I discovered him, and he's so wholesome, and I really like that. So those kind of things really get me going, and I'm really glad that I can take some time to remind myself that, what I'm doing is helping a lot of people, and, it's been a lot of fun at the same time. So if I can give you a lesson that I learned from this break, it's honestly to branch out. I mean, on YouTube, I mostly discuss animation and video games, but I'm also the kind of person that really likes to, take up hobbies or learn more about the ones that I already have. That's why, even though I mostly talk about animation and video games, I also like learning about the automotive industry and learning, life and business lessons from the tech industry. And I think it's so great, because I think one of the major reasons people struggle so much, with anxiety is because they feel trapped. Like, even if they're enjoying a hobby that they really love, it's the same people and it's the same lessons. So you're not really learning anything new. You're just kind of trapped in a bubble. And I think it's why I think it's important when I have those times where I can branch out and explore my other hobbies. It's not a good idea to distract yourself for like a super, super long time, but I think it's also beneficial when you can learn a new hobby. And honestly, I think I learned my greatest life lessons from, branching out. When I was in high school, I remember finishing freshman year feeling really lonely and unwanted. And what happened was that one of my dad's patients recommended that I should try running on the cross country team. And I was just so desperate for a social life that I was just like, yeah, okay, sure, sign me up, even though I could barely run a mile. And that ended up being a really beneficial experience for me as well. I mean, admittedly, I wasn't the greatest runner, but I learned so much about motivation, and it's a big part of why sports has also taught me so much over the years, whether it's through cross-country running or learning about the Olympics. So yeah, I'm really glad that I've been able to branch out, and I think it can be for you. And it doesn't even have to be about any of the hobbies I talk about. It doesn't have to be cars, it doesn't have to be cross-country running. It's literally anything. If you can learn an amazing lesson from either singing, painting, maybe even pursuing a hobby that's been sitting in the back of your head for a really long time, maybe you can learn a really amazing lesson, and I hope that you can. So yeah, so that's where I've been. I hope that this advice has helped you out a lot as well. Even though I'm feeling much more motivated now, I feel like the greatest thing that comes from motivation isn't just spending time watching motivational things, but really the most effective way that shows that motivation works is when you can finally get back in the ring and, do the stuff that you love. So that's what I'm going to do. I do have a Star vs. the Forces of Evil video in the works. That's going to be my next video, and I have a ton of other ideas as well. I don't want to get into them because I don't want to, promise exact dates for when I can get around to doing those videos. But I'm really glad to be back. I hope there was something in this video that you could learn a lesson from. And yeah, so 2023 is going to be really great, and I hope you're going to stick around for the ride. So let me know your thoughts down below. Has 2023 treated you well? Has the last year also been really tough on you? Leave all those thoughts down below. And if you also have really incredible advice, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. So until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.